We live, baby. What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. We back, the early morning show. It's J Money and the Shark, man. We're trying to cash. I'm live. I'm in the mountains. You see what I'm saying? Well, we're trying to get some cash, man. It's a great day. What's up with you, Shark? Everything cool with you?
Absolutely. Taking a breath. 11 a.m. Eastern, winning Wednesday, the second day of the month. We were off yesterday. Of course, I mentioned grueling lifestyle. We love to do it. We're bringing you 11 games today. A lot to talk about, Jay. Let's get in there and let's dominate.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. Obviously, talking free NBA picks like we do every day, my guys. It's the NBA show, best NBA show out there, my guys. Let's get some cash. Let's talk some NBA picks going down every card, every game on the board here. First game up. Let's go over here to the streets of Philadelphia here. You got the Sixers here. This line would open up at 8. It's going down to 6.5 here now. Maybe people are waking up saying that Joel Embiid is questionable in this game, Shark. Not really fair. He's off a game, then he plays, and then he's off another game. You just kind of wonder if it's actually an illness or if they kind of just a low management early in the year, knowing that they could probably still get the win there. So what do you think about this one going up against this Wizards team, little home and home situation here?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts in this game. And of course, this is not necessarily just the game of professional basketball. The Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series are up 2-1. Your beautiful sprinkle looking very good, but that has altered this game. The game tip time has been moved down from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And we talk about this very often on Sundays. Part of the reason why Sunday is hard to cap is weird tip times. So now you get a weird tip time, and this rescheduling and the chaos that's going to be surrounding this stadium as players come in, fans come in, getting ready for the World Series game 4 tonight. Obviously, you mentioned you get a one-off revenge game. That is the peak motivation you will find from a professional basketball unit. When you just lost to the team the previous game, you come back. I think this line is going to be very, very sharp. Obviously, the previous line was 2.5. It ended up getting steamed to about 3.5, 4 in some books. This opened at 8. That was showcasing 1 point of strength to Philly. But, of course, Jay and I were just discussing this off the record. We woke up this morning, and it got steamed the other direction. Now it's minus 6.5. And I think at that final figure, it's what I discuss very, very often. When you find home favorites that are shading the other direction and on that 3-bucket line, it's going to be really sharp stuff. And I do think one real interesting angle in this game is how poorly, and we discussed this numerous times, Philly came out this year. Now they're showing some sustainability here, having won 4 out of their last 5, 3 straight wins, 3 straight covers, all on the road. This is home game 1, which, of course, is a natural fade spot. There's just a lot of counter narratives here. I do not love this game by any means.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Personally, the way I'm looking at it, I was thinking Embiid may come back in this one. Obviously, who knows what's really going on with him, but I was thinking when the line was 8, I was thinking maybe we'd wake up or at least it'd stick at 8 and then he get ruled in, go up to maybe 9.5, 10. That's just the way I was looking at it. Then I would hop on the Wizards here. The line is going the other way. I mean, can't necessarily say it's a bad thing if you like the Wizards here. I do think they might turn up here in this second game. Obviously, they're missing some guys off the bench over there. Their bench was horrible. That was the game. But it's kind of crazy because it's one of those situations where the Sixers have been playing better without Embiid. He's not in shape. He's not getting back down the floor on defense on the fast breaks. He can't take fouls. So it's crazy to say, but they've been playing a lot better without Embiid. I want the star player to come back, and then you faded that kind of thing. So was leaning the Wizards there. It's a tough game. Wait for Embiid. If he's out, obviously look towards Maxey and Harden. They ball out when Embiid's not in there. When he's in, it's throwing off everything, my guys. So that's how we're looking at it. Let's get over here to the streets of Cleveland here. We got the Cavs getting 2 points at home versus the Boston Celtics. This is a quick revenge spot as well. These two teams just played a couple games ago. Total sitting at 220 here, Shark. You like anything here?
It's going to be a tough game. I think it's a very sharp line. Of course, if you go back to the previous game, I did have that correctly. We got it at plus 6.5, but that did open at Boston minus 5.5. Which was short at the time. And of course, we discussed line functionality. It does apply to NBA basketball. It does apply in one-off revenge games in tight windows. This is a half point short for Boston. And I think people want to buy Boston. But again, this line has told us a great story, all 4 matchups dating back to the beginning of last year. This line is on Cleveland. I'm not taking Cleveland. It was really a lean for me. My biggest hesitation here is how Cleveland is playing home basketball right now. If you go back to their 3 previous games, go back to Sunday, October 23rd, a game against Washington. They were laying 3.5 points in the game. They did not cover in regulation. They did cover in overtime. So very fortunate there for Cleveland backers on that given day. 117 to 107. Came back against Orlando. Line hovered anywhere between, I think, 8, 9, maybe even a 10. And the game did backdoor and finished 103-92. And in the most recent game, another lackluster Sunday performance and a huge, huge backdoor against the Knicks. 37-15 in the fourth quarter to cover what was a short 3.5. I think if you draw into that dynamic and environment a little bit, and you do say, okay, what happened here? Sunday, October 23rd, Sunday, October 30th, 2 Sunday games, lackluster in both until late in the fourth quarter and overtime. So maybe that's just more so they don't play ball at home on Sunday, and we learn as we go. Again, the line is on Cleveland by a half point, and that does matter in line functionality. Boston's in a funky environment here, Jay. Obviously, Ime Udoka now officially, I think, more or less going to Brooklyn. So I think with psychological dynamic, this team is no longer caught in purgatory. They now know their future is without Ime, and it's finalized, which could give them some sort of freedom to just now go in a different direction and play more fluid ball. They have been inconsistent on the road. They didn't cover at the Magic. They did cover a road game 1 at Miami. Short line. I think this is going to hover. I think this is going to be a 1-bucket spread. Nothing here.
Yeah, I think the spread is moving more because of Garland is likely to come back in this game. It's not guaranteed, but he did practice yesterday. He's been out, I believe, the last 5 games with that eye laceration. So Garland could come back here. That's obviously gonna be into the line here, guys. So don't be surprised if the Cavs are flipped to the favorite here as well. This is one where you wait for more info. If Garland's in there, I don't necessarily like the Cavs. Mitchell and LeVert have really got into a zone, got into a groove playing without him, right? It's not necessarily, whose ball is it going to be or necessarily floor spacing. Those two know what they want to do, but when LeVert is off the bench, he's a little bit different. And Garland and Mitchell still kind of figuring out to play together as well. So this could be, again, star player coming back in, kind of messing up the groove. They've won 5 straight. I could see Garland coming back, but the Celtics getting some revenge. Also, teams playing within 10 days of each other. The team that's lost the first game or didn't cover the spread are 8-3-1 against the spread in the second game, my guys. So it just speaks to the revenge right there. I would lean to the Celtics here. It would definitely be more on the on Garland come back into the lineup, kind of messing things up as well, guys. I hope it makes sense. For at least for one game, the star player coming in is not necessarily good for the team chemistry. You have to learn how to play with him once again, my guys. So I would lean Celtics there, and also with Shark saying obviously the whole Udoka thing just totally gone now, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Chicago here. Got the Bulls laying 5 points versus the Hornets here, my guys. Line was at 6. It's come down. Obviously, it's a back-to-back. Probably won't have Levine here, Shark.
Tough game. Not anything that I'm really looking at with any sort of detail. If you go back to the previous couple matchups, the line did not tell you a great story. You do get a revenge game here. Charlotte did win in Chicago in the most recent matchup in the spring, 133-117. Obviously, different rosters, no LaMelo Ball, guys moving around. This is the 3rd back-to-back on the campaign for Chicago, but it is a different environment. The previous ones, they saved Zach LaVine for the second game. Of course, they put him in last night, and we're thankful they did, as he read off 20 points in the fourth quarter for a win, 108-99, and we love to see that. But now you come back, it's a totally different roster versus their previous 2 back-to-backs. And also, key point, their previous 2 back-to-back final leg spots were 3rd in 4 back-to-backs, which is significantly worse than just a standalone back-to-back with 2 days of rest prior. Charlotte has been pretty impressive on the road. Charlotte is 3-1 ATS on the road. They are functioning well as an underdog here. Just a lot of moving parts here. Not my game whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a good point there, man. The Hornets, man, this team is they're all over the place, man. They're playing some good basketball right now. It's crazy without LaMelo Ball and Rozier. I mean, hell, they might be able to trade Rozier the way it's looking if they're gonna keep balling like this. And I love to see it for Dennis Smith Jr., man. I mean, I just had to say that because the guy kind of got shafted. He was really good for the Mavericks. Obviously, ever since the injuries, man, it was really downhill from there. So I'm really happy to see him at least show that he can still ball out in this league, my guys. I don't have anything on this game, but would like to lean Bulls there, but like you said, you probably wait for Levine out, wait for the line to crater even more, in my opinion. You don't bet the Bulls right now. You waited to get to the lowest point if you like that side. If you like the Hornets, you probably want to go ahead and take them now, my guys. But I'd probably lean to the Bulls, even though they're coming off a big game last night. Let's get over here to the streets of Miami here, man. We got the Heat here laying 6 points. They're also coming off a big game last night. Didn't have to travel anywhere. Kings, they won't have De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis in this game. Line open up at 7. It still come down to 6 here, Sharks. And people liking the Kings in this one.
Yeah, this is a tough game. This game is giving you essentially nothing. Of course, Miami did just lose in Sacramento, going back to the end of a road trip on the West Coast, I believe, on a Saturday or Sunday, 119 to 113. But in terms of line functionality, within this matchup, of course, it is out of conference, so you have less matchup data. But this is very, very well averaged. Jay Money and the Shark on print, certifiable fire on a Sunday not so casual winning Wednesday. And this game is just giving you nothing. When you're 3.5 on the road, you come back home at 6.5, 7. They're just telling you, listen, we don't really know what's going on in this game. We're giving you a stock average. So therefore, you zoom off the number and you say, what's going on here? You find Miami to back-to-back off a huge win last night against the Dubs. Inherently, yes, that is a letdown spot emotionally and probably to a certain degree from a fatigue standpoint as well. And Sacramento is definitely a buy team. You know, we talked about this numerous times already. You bought them, and Memphis actually did get them, but the idea was correct. This team's going to come. They have a good roster. They have a deep roster. They have a much improved coaching environment with Mike Brown in there. Obviously, Luke Walton was just a lame duck for over a season. You want to take the Kings here from a situational standpoint. Free play them on Kings. Don't love the game.
I got you. Yeah, it is a tough one. Yeah, I think one point to note, though, Shard, they did get smoked by the Kings in that game. So the fact that they do, even though it's moved just a stock, when you get smoked like that, they don't move the line down towards the Kings. You could say in some way it's a strong line for the Heat here. I'm not on them here, but obviously coming off a big game last night, didn't have to travel anywhere. But I think it's one of those things that obviously the injuries could come into play here. The Kings, while they are a deep team, they Brown did start to shorten the rotation. So now you're going to get to playing those guys that you didn't want to play anymore. Now that Fox and Sabonis is out. Speaking of guys like Me Too and Terrence Davis, they're not bad players, but they weren't really fitting with the other guys over there, Monk and Keegan Murray and Huerter. So they still got some ballers over there. I'm still not laying the price with the Heat here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did drop the hammer on the Kings tonight. And it's a really good chance without two of the players that really carved them up in that first time. So it wasn't too long ago. They just smoked them. Like I said, teams in the last 10 days faced a team and didn't cover the spread in their first one. They're 8-3-1 against the spread in their next game, my guys. So wouldn't be surprised if the Heat bounced back and burned up those Kings in that one. Let's go over here to the streets of New York here. We got the Knicks laying 2 points versus the Hawks. Shark. Both teams coming in off 2-game losing streaks, but obviously the Hawks, 5th game of a road trip, 4th game in 6 nights, 5th game in 8 days, all on the road here as well. Do you think the Knicks turn up here? Do the Knicks turn up at Madison Square Garden, or does Trae Young turn up at Madison Square Garden?
I think the Knicks turn up, and on a suddenly not so casual winning Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022, the buy hat is engaged. And a lot going on here. You mentioned it. Both teams coming off 2-game losing streaks, but totally different environments. Atlanta, 5th game of a trip. Atlanta showcasing extremely lackluster quality this season. And you really have to go down their wins. Houston, Orlando, Detroit, and Detroit. Detroit is potentially a fringe, maybe play-in if they catch win late season, but the other teams are certifiable bottom feeders against anybody else that's even remotely representative, non-covers, and coming down the scale here pretty aggressively. Saturday, October 29th, 123-115 non-cover at Milwaukee, and then a 30-point blowout at Toronto, 139-109. And as Jay said, and as people say, does Trae Young love the Knicks? Does he love to ball? He does, but he loves to do it in the playoffs, much more so than the regular season. And if you go back over a period of time here, the Knicks are 7-1 straight up against the Hawks in their last 8 regular season ball games. And even going back to last year, where we discussed the Knicks had fallen off the cliff to a degree from a playoff appearance the previous year. If you remember what they did well, they played well against the non-playoff teams and situational Eastern teams, such as Atlanta and Detroit. And you saw what they did to Detroit at home going back a few games, and you do find a line functionality spot. The only win for Atlanta in the regular season in the last couple years against the Knicks did come in the final game of last year. Atlanta 117-111 at Madison Square Garden on a 3.5. So this is the line functionality we love to see. Atlanta's a favorite, 3.5, and they cover in the revenge game in the same stadium in the very next matchup with similar rosters here. It does move. Of course, DeJounte Murray, Jalen Brunson, a couple pieces, but this is where the Knicks want to ball. The Knicks are 3-0 straight up at home. They're 2-1 ATS. They didn't cover against the aforementioned scrappy as an underdog Charlotte Hornets. And Atlanta truly is just not in the environment where they're going to ball. And the final point on this, and Jay, we talked about this last year, Trae Young and these guys just don't take the game that seriously in the beginning of the year. We're going to make a lot of money betting Atlanta probably after January 1st in home games where they're probably going to run off another, 18-3 clip at home. But right now, Atlanta is not a bye team. The Knicks are above average to very good at home. Revenge game, historical domination, and line number, New York Knicks, -2, 1 unit official.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off, man. I'm gonna have to ride with my guy Shark here. We know this is a terrible spot for the Hawks as well. You don't want to buy them on the road. I don't like the fact that they're coming off giving them their 140 points up. They got absolutely blown out, but hopefully they can continue here. Maybe they come out with some in the first half, but hopefully it should continue here. Like it could be one of those where they kind of just run out of gas here on the road, traveling all over the place. So I believe they did have a day off or whatever. But regardless, man, they should, in theory, they should get smoked in this game, especially in the second half, man. The Knicks have the huge bench advantage as well, I must say. When it gets to the second units coming in, guys like Cam Reddish, who's going up against the Hawks, who didn't respect him as well. You got Cam Reddish coming off the bench quickly, Derrick Rose, Isaiah Hartenstein. They should absolutely carve them up, and I feel like the Hawks are really top-heavy right now until they get Bogdanovich back off the bench. It's real tough. It's real tough for me to trust their bench, and I think they're like one big away or like power forward away from having a really strong bench as well. But Shark said it at the house, they'll really probably catch a groove when they start to care about games, start playing some good defense. It's not right now. Just gave up 139 to the Raptors without Van Fleet, my guys. So fifth game in 8 days, this would definitely be a fade spot, no matter who the name of the jersey is. You see what I'm saying? It's basically just capping them like it's robots. Guys, if you can, post those pics in the chat, retweet the show on Twitter as well, my guys. Share wherever you would like to, man. But yeah, I have to ride with my guy Shark there with the Knicks -2. Let's go over here to the streets of San Antonio here. We got the Spurs getting 7 points versus those Raptors there we just finished talking about. This line was at 8 yesterday. Spurs getting some money coming in on the Spurs here at the house. They've been very scrappy. May get Vassell back today as well. You like anything in this game, my brother?
This is a tough one. Of course, an 11-game card, you're not going to like every game. I don't love this game. As you mentioned, Spurs have been highly impressive. I mean, I don't think anybody had this team at 5-2 straight up. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the last 6 ball games. They've been cleaning up basically, I don't know, like a combination of playoff teams from both conferences. I mean, this is just unheard of stuff, and it's very unexpected. But, when you find Toronto coming in here, I don't know if you can expect Toronto to really show up here. You saw what San Antonio did at home against Chicago, obviously an Eastern Conference opponent. Chicago had a lead in the fourth. I lost the wager. Chicago could not sustain. You see just the brand of ball that the Spurs are playing. They're playing fast pace. They're playing energized. They're playing just inspired, if you will. And, of course, this is the polar opposite of what we just said about the Hawks. Teams that are really having their eyes on May and June will be coasting right now. And teams that really know we have a lottery roster, they turn up right now. And, you go back to last year, Toronto did hammer this team twice. They hammered them at home on a -6.5. I think Jay Money had that play that day. I recall this game 129-104. And then they came back, Toronto on the road, short -1 and got them again 119-104. So double revenge game, 2-0 ATS last year for Toronto. But the key point here with line functionality is that when it shortens up and Toronto still covers, it means books don't have a grip. So if books move it up to a big time line, which is strong, that might not matter here. And that's exactly what happened with the Chicago game. The Chicago game came up. It was strong, did not matter. I think Spurs could scrap this one together. I think it's a dead zone spot for Toronto tonight. Totally unofficial, though. Nothing on this game.
Yeah, that's a good point there. The Raptors and Deer, they're coming off of a win where they scored 139 points without Van Fleet. So hopefully, I mean, I think one interesting thing here, if they get Van Fleet back, that's kind of crazy. They open up at 8 with him being questionable. Spurs have covered 5 of the last 6, won 5 of the last 6 as well. But you also have the Raptors with their 4-1 against the spread last 5 games as well. Played really well. 3 of those games were at the house. Now they're heading on the road. So obviously, you worry about when it does flip. But I'm right there with you, Shari. It's crazy. You said it, man. The bottom tier teams really turned up right now because they know that they're going to go on a slide for the rest of the year. That's when we start fading them at it. But as for now, things are funky. You basically take the opposite. You take the bad teams right now. That's what's been cashing here. So wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs cash that one. Raptors kind of land a lot on the road there, to be honest with you, man. It's kind of crazy, right? They're laying even more than the Bulls were on the road. So it's tough, man. That's a tough one. Let's go over here to the streets of Houston here. We got the Rockets +5 versus the Clippers there, Shark. Like I say, the Clippers, they were just laying 9.5 at the house, only won by 2 points. Now they come on the road here, laying 5. How are we looking at this game, my guy?
This is tough. This is very similar to what we were saying about the Sacramento-Miami game. Of course, that was out of conference, but this is very interesting stuff too. You get a revenge game, you get a one-off back-to-back. This is just going to be a sharp line, as you just said. 9 home, 6 road. That is very, very well averaged. And you look at Houston here. Houston does have 1 win on the campaign. I had it correctly. However, the key point here was they were a favorite at home. And I think as we go forward in this campaign, they're going to win minimal ball games. Very young roster, obviously a lot of growing pains. But I think books have a grip. And I think when they're an underdog at home, they're not going to cover a lot of games. And I think ultimately it's going to be really tight. If you look at a game they played at home against Memphis, Memphis was laying right around the same figure, 5-6, right around there. I believe Memphis won a game by 7 points late. John Morant went off. And the Clippers have been highly lackluster, 3-4 straight up, 2-2 away. Obviously did not cover the one at home. We talk about this oftentimes. Yes, it's a revenge game for Houston, but it's an ATS revenge environment for the Clippers. So it takes on a merge dynamic. This is a really, really tough game, Jay. There's nothing here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, you don't know when. I'm not betting the Clippers right now, my guys. But I do think personally it could be a spot where they like, all right, come on, guys, let's go ahead and smack this team. We already lost almost lost. So it's like Shar said, yeah, they lost. They won the game straight up, but they barely won. So they could look in here like, let's smack this team. And theoretically, you look at the spot for the Rockets. I don't love it. First, 4-game road trip. On the West Coast, then they come home for 1 game, and then they head back on the road for another 4 games. So, somewhat of a 9. It's going to have 9 straight games in different gyms, my guys. It's a tough game here. You worry when the Clippers are actually going to turn it up, but it's not right now. So, it's just one of those you kind of have to. Unfortunately, you got to wait till the Clippers really start balling and really start playing some offense with some offensive flow before we can definitely start laying points with them on the road. Let's go over here to the streets of Milwaukee here, where we got the Bucks land 11.5 points versus the Pistons, where you got another one where the Bucks have been at the house for a while, man. I must say this has to be the 6th straight home game. They're on the road here after this one. Shark, but like I said, obviously they were laying 13. The last one probably could have blown them out. Looks to me like they chose not to. Barely won that one. Now it come down to 11.5. You think the Bucks blow them out this time, Shark?
I don't know, because as you mentioned, this is the final game of a 6-game homestand. They do have a bit of a look ahead here. They have a national game against Minnesota on Friday night on ESPN, 10 o'clock. When I look at this game, I just think that Milwaukee is trending downward just in general. Mm-hmm. If you really scale this home environment, blowout win against Houston, blowout win against the Knicks, handled Atlanta, and then did not cover against Detroit. We talk about this. I remember we talked about this with the Lakers, I think 1 or 2 seasons ago, where you start to come down. And what happens is you go from blowout covers to tight covers to non-covers, and then you hit an outright loss. And I do think, obviously, saying that Detroit's going to beat them tonight might be a reach, but I think Milwaukee is trending down to a loss. And this line is scaling towards Detroit. Of course, the previous one was -13. Books are moving it towards Detroit here. Free play, I'm on Detroit. And again, I would suspect, just the guys in the chat here, be looking for a Milwaukee loss coming very soon.
That's a good point there, man. That's a good point, my guys. Post those pics in the chat. Everybody posting them shits in the chat right now, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Post those pics in the chat. But yeah, you make some good points there. They could have lost that game, man. What Shark says, they're teetering upon a loss here. So wouldn't be surprised if this was another close game where the Pistons do what they do, keep the game close, but lose the game outright by maybe 5 to 6 points. Keep in mind, the Bucks had the rest advantage. They've been at the house for a while, nice and comfy as well, winning, right? Getting comfortable in their offense, shooting it on the same goals in the same gym. But the Pistons coming there off a back-to-back huge win and still took them down to the wire. So you got to give the credit to some Pistons there. They're supposed to fall out late in the game and get blown out probably by 20 points in the letdown spot. But they did the exact opposite though and kept fighting, had the energy, playing defense, and scoring the ball as well. They couldn't stop Giannis, but no one else to stop them. So I'm with you on that one, Shark. I would lean towards the Pistons as well to keep it close as well. Bucks there's no real need to just go balls to the wall versus the Pistons. Go and get the win and get up out of there, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Dallas here. We got the Mavs laying 5.5 points versus the Utah Jazz here, my guys. Obviously, a playoff revenge spot for the Jazz, but only 3 players on the roster that was even on that team over there. Got a total sitting at 221 here. It's kind of crazy enough, but I'd lean to the under here. I think the Mavs, I think they're going to bring the defense here. And the Jazz been playing some really underrated defense as well. What they do on offense, they're running a lot of plays, a lot of motion. Good offense. I got to give Will Hardy some credit over there, Shark. But I do think their offense is somewhat kind of slow when they're not running and gunning. It's a slower pace type of game, man. I'd lean to the under in this one, Shark. You like something here?
I do. Buy hat engaged. Dallas Mavericks 1 unit -6. And you mentioned it. Their offense is clicking. I think this is situational offense clicking, and it's very centered around being in their home gym. Obviously, this team is 6-2 on the campaign. We've talked about this. They got a lot of pros, a lot of shooters, a lot of guys that were disrespected at one point in their career, all coming together and juiced up. But key point here, it's not coming on the road. Last 2 road games at Houston, I had it correctly. Houston 114-108 outright win. Friday, October 28th at Denver. Denver on a very similar figure to the game tonight, -7.5, 117-101. Go back to their last 3 home games, outright cover as a favorite against Houston, 2 huge wins against Memphis back-to-back. So this team is currently 3-0 straight up and 3-0 ATS last 3 home games. 0-2 straight up, 0-2 ATS last 2 road games. And to go through Dallas is finding incredible line functionality within this matchup. And of course, this does not matter that there's new players. This is Vegas algorithms tabulating these teams versus each other and as it flows. And Jay and I made a lot of money betting these teams last year. And I believe Jay made quite a bit more than I did. But we'll keep that quiet. But going through this, and we'll go through it quickly, last year on Christmas Day, Utah laid 13.5 points at home in the nightcap of the quintuple header on Christmas Day. And Luka Doncic did not play, and the Dallas Mavericks did cover the game, and it lost outright 120-116. It came down from 13.5 to 6 in the same gym in Utah, which was very short, showcasing strength to Dallas. Dallas did cover it by 114-109. Then it came down again. Utah favored at Dallas. Should have been 3. It was 1. It was short. And Utah lost outright 111-103. And then in the final matchup of the regular season, Dallas came up. First time favored all year, 2-4. Jay and I had it that day as well. 114-100. Blowout win. So now it continues to scale up. It's -6, and it's finding this dynamic where the Jazz are not the same team on the road. I think Dallas comes out here tonight, balls the hell out, and gets there by double digits. -6, 1 unit official.
I'll ride with you, my guy. I'll ride with you. I like to, I'm going for the Mavs in this shit, man. I might have to roll up to this game. Yeah, it's 6 out there. It's 5. It's some 5.5s out there, man. So I'm seeing about half the books at 5.5. Other ones at 6. Some of them 6 at -105. So so the money's on the Jazz here, guys. So maybe, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm with you, Shar. If the Mavs take this game serious, man, they should smoke these guys, man. We really own the Jazz, to be honest with you. Obviously, you got to look at it from both sides. Clarkson, Conley, they're going to want to come with something. They got put out the playoffs, but it's a totally different roster now. And what they're doing is they're going up against teams that's overlooking them, man. The Mavs won to, man. Because you know what? We faced y'all in the playoffs. No revenge today, man. Let's smack these boys up, man. Luka, I'm not sure who's going to stop Luka in this one, man. So as long as obviously Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith, the Mavs, they ball out at the house, Shark. I got the hat packed up, man, but I would I would put it on, but I switched to the background. Let's go, Mavs, my guy. Ride with my guy, Sharp. We getting some cash today, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Memphis here. This shit get me hyped up, man. Grizzlies laying 4.5. It's going up to 5 at a couple spots now, my guys. So it's going up here. We got the Memphis Grizzlies laying 4.5 versus the Portland Trail Blazers here, Shark. I believe the Blazers been at the house here for a while. Two key players may not be in there today. I believe Dame is still out here, and Josh Hart trying to get out of concussion protocol. I'm not sure how he's going to play in this game. It's a sick hat there, my guy. What are we doing here? Is it by hat engaged?
A continuingly, suddenly not so casual winning Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. Third official play. Memphis Grizzlies on the road, -4.5. A lot going on here as well. And I think you have to go back to last year for this one. Last year, we're throwing out the most recent game. This is something that I've noticed with line functionality. When there's normalized lines, 2.5, 1.5, 4.5, 4.5, and you find 1 out of the 5 at 12.5. That basically is just indicating a lot of roster ambiguity. Excuse me. And you remember last year at the end of the year.
Some water, my guy.
We're fired the hell up here. And you remember last year at the end of the year, after Lillard was out and there was a lot of turmoil with his future with the franchise, CJ McCollum had been moved. Portland was getting significant underdog lines on the road every single game. And they actually went on an ATS tear. And that happened to be one of them. And so I'm throwing that game out. So with the functionality of this situation, we go back to early last year in Portland. Portland did lay 2.5 points, and Portland did hammer this team, 116-96. In the same gym, off a loss, the line moved to Memphis -1.5, which is extreme line functionality strength on the road. And Memphis did get there 113-103. It came back home, Memphis -4.5. They laid down. Portland got them 105-100. We had that officially that day as well. I've had a grip on these teams now for a couple of years, dating back to the quarantine year. So now throwing out the 12.5, we go from home loss 4.5 to road 3.5. This should be 1.5, and this really should be Portland laying points. If you were really adjusting this for recent history in this season, Portland comes in here 5-1. And Portland comes in here with 1 loss, and it was to Miami on a short spot here. Memphis comes in here with back-to-back egregious losses. Memphis will turn up here. Double revenge, line number, ice cold in the last small window, back end of a trip. They did open the trip with a cover at Sacramento. I think it's going to bookend. We'll get 1 and 4 and tank the 2 middle games at altitude in Utah. Official play tonight, 1 unit, -4.5. Memphis on the road.
I'm right there with you, Shark. I hopped on Grizzlies -4. Wouldn't talk you out of 4.5. Bain should be back in this one. I believe he could have played last game. They kind of just took precaution. He said that he wanted to play, but I believe the team literally just take the game off or whatever. Be ready maybe for this one. But it's a big game, national television. They've lost 2 straight on the road here. I think this team turns up here, try to salvage this road trip, right? When teams will always do this. When they go 1 and 2 on a road trip, they're gonna get together and say, come on, guys, let's at least try to salvage this trip, go 2 and 2. You don't want to go 1 and 3 on the road trip, man. It's a waste of time. You see what I'm saying? You want to go 2 and 2 here. I think they get the win. So Bain should be in theory. I know that Steven Adams kind of has a jaw or something. Still think that they got guys off the bench. They got Killian Tilly or Tillman. It's Tilly, I'm pretty sure, and Brandon Clark as well. They can get it done regardless, man. Nobody really worried about Nurkic over there. But like the Grizzlies in this one, bounce back spot here, Shark. Obviously, you want to catch the Blazers as well without Dame, because when he's in there, the motherfuckers, they're not playing around. But without Dame and likely Josh Hart in this one, down a couple of starters, that's too much for this Blazers team. That's somewhat of a little bit top heavy, my guys. They're a great team. They're gonna do things this year, but this isn't a spot for them, in my opinion. I believe they head out on the road after this game as well. But regardless, liking the Grizzlies here, my guys. Grind City, you see what I'm saying? Last game up. Let's go over here to the streets of LA here. We got the Lakers getting 3 points versus the New Orleans Pelicans here. Lakers are sitting at 1-5 against the spread on the year. Doesn't mean they're not going to cover games forever. They may actually turn up at some point. They have the 3rd or 4th best defense in the league, but the offense is not great right now, Shark. They just celebrated their first win like they had just won the Super Bowl or something, my guy. If you saw them in the locker room, but you like anything in this game, my guy?
I do, and I said I've been ordering a hat like this for about a year now. It finally came in the mail. I think it was caught up in the 7 layers of quarantine. But all jokes aside, the buy hat is engaged on the West Coast. We're taking the New Orleans Pelicans at -3 here. And again, you have to go back to last year for this matchup, but New Orleans owns the Lakers. And there's just a lot of different angles to this game, but you really have to start going through the matchups. On a Sunday night, February 27th, I had it correctly. I remember I was at a bar in Florida, and I didn't even want to sweat the game. I was trying to hang out with my ground. I was like, I hope the Pelicans take care of these boys. And they fucking did. 123-95 blowout. Came back home, a strong figure for New Orleans, -4, covered again, 116-108. We also had that correctly. And then it came back to the Lakers. It would have suggested a Lakers cover here at -1.5. Here's where I can actually throw this out because I think that the books did have a grip on the line. The Lakers were up 3 points with about 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and melted the game away. So now we can allow that to be a strong enough line for the Lakers there because that was more so an outlier in the end of the game. So now when you're 1.5 in your home gym and the very next game in a triple revenge game, the other team is laying 3. If this was going road to home for New Orleans and we were going Lakers 1.5 to -3, that would be strong road to home. This is road to road. So you have to add 3 additional points onto this. This is comparable to a line at home laying 6, 6.5. And that gap, if we went 1.5, 6.5, that's an 8 gap. That's a blowout line. So this is actually a blowout line move in the same stadium. I think New Orleans might get there tonight by 10 plus. We're on it officially 1 unit -3.
Yeah, I'm on the Mavs last night as well. And that's what my guy Matt from Action was saying. Hey, do you think this is a trap line? Is it a short line? I said the line is all over. The Pelicans were dogs both times last year in LA. So the fact that they're the favorite here is actually a strong line. I don't think that it's short here. They're the favorite here. I feel like it would be fishy if Pelicans were +1 or something, right? That's when it's like okay, the line is all over the Lakers. That's what I'm telling them. 1-3 straight versus. I mean, it's crazy, Sharp, because you get one of those dynamics where the Lakers had owned the Pelicans for so long. They had won 5 straight versus them and were 4-1 against the spread. Then it starts to flip. It's like the Pelicans are the top dogs now. Now they're 4-1 against the spread and 4-1 straight up versus the Lakers last 5. So I do think it's going to continue tonight. I do think that the Lakers at some point they will be a little better, but I don't like this matchup for him. And just another thing, guys, AD is not 100%. I like the fact that he's toughing it out and he's going out there and balling out, but guy can barely get up and down the floor. I know how it is to play with a bad back. It's not something that gets better overnight, my guy. It's only going to get worse. After the game, it's super stiff as well. I don't care how many massages you have, all that, man. It's not something that's going to correct itself over time. You really need rest. So to be honest with you, AD probably should sit out some games just to get right. But, I mean, I like to see him tougher now, but obviously back is not something you want to mess with. You got to run and gun. You got to be able to play defense versus this Pelicans team as well. They have a lot of great defenders. So this is the thing for me, Sark. It's really this simple. Lakers offense really struggling. Pelicans have one of the best defenses in the league. I don't see them overlooking this game as well. They don't have Ingram, but it's still they want to go 2-1 on this road trip as opposed to 1-2. Couple days off in LA, but the Lakers had a couple days off as well. Man, give me the Pelicans here -3 in this one. See Zion and the boys balling out in this one, and I like that they got Herb Jones back, their best defender. Man, these guys got defenders over there. Jose Alvarado they're gonna be pissed on these guys, man. Give me the Pelicans here. -3, like Shark said, man. They've been on them, man. You got something else?
Yeah, a couple more points here. I was looking at that because obviously they did play, I believe, Sunday night in LA against the Clippers, so they had 2 full off days. And this is where the true psychology really does come into the cap. If this was a different team with a worse coach and less professional guys, you would be worried about this. Hanging out in LA, 2 nights, Halloween night, what the hell are they doing out there? But these guys are pros. CJ McCollum, Zion Williams. I mean, this is a core group. And as we've said numerous times on this show already this year, Willie Green is that guy. He will have them ready to go. And you made the point, but it's worth repeating. You have to really zoom out here in terms of the clustered nature of this environment. So when the Pelicans win 3 in a row, this is still way below the long-term average because the Lakers had won 7 of the previous 8. Right. So if we really look at the 13 to 14 game window here, this is still a buy on the Pelicans to get back to neutral, and it probably will be for 5 more ball games. And that's a key point. Of course, when people say this is short, what they're doing, and this is a mistake, and I always say this, I learned from my own mistakes. I used to say, oh, wow, a team with a better record is laying a short figure to a 1-5 team. It's not that. It's the continuum of the line historically, and that's what line functionality is. This is strong as hell for New Orleans. It's a big-time spot tonight.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna turn up here as well, man. You said something key there about Willie Green. He's a professional type of guy. Zion, the Pelicans have a lot of young, hungry guys as well, my guys. So yeah, Pelicans -3, not overthinking. Nothing's guaranteed, my guys, but it's the site that we're on. We got a bunch of plays today, man. Let's recap them. First, let's talk about some shirts, man. Got this beautiful shirt on here, my guys. J Money and shirt. I'm wearing this shirt every day the rest of this week. Not this one, obviously, but a new shirt. See what I'm saying? But J Money and the Shark shirt, my guys, man. If y'all can check us out, show some support to the channel, man. We live on here every single day for you guys. $10 off. You can use promo code WIN10. Excuse me, Jay and Shark shirts only $15, my guys. And you can hit up myself or Shark. The Jay and Shark shirts only $15 right now. And also the all those shirts, Smack City, Us Against The Bookies. Let's get some cash shirts as well. You also get a free pair of glasses, J Money approved glasses with your purchase, my guys. So let's get them up out of here, man. Y'all help me out. Got a lot of shit over here. Y'all help me out, my guys. It's got boxes on boxes. But Shark, let's get to some free picks here. As always, my brother, what you liking today on tonight's card?
11 games on the card, a lot to look at, 40 minutes in the books. We appreciate you guys immensely. Your powerful chat brings us into even more energy than we already have. We appreciate you guys immensely. 4 top plays, 9 words of lifestyle. Ride the wave down the water. New York Knicks at home. Stand up, revenge game. Let's continue domination against the Hawks in a really tough spot and a strong figure for New York. -2. Buy hat engaged on the West Coast. -3. Grizzlies -4.5. And my other play is mildly eluding me. What was I on, Jay? Talk to me. Oh, of course. The Dallas Mavericks, -6 at home to continue a line functionality spot. And I saw people in the chat saying stuff about the Jazz. I encourage you guys to look a little bit deeper than just flat analysis. Go into the schedule and say, how does this team perform at home versus road? It's not complicated stuff, but you can't just look at a team like they're just vanilla on the wall. Like they have lots of different environments that they function differently in on a consistent basis. And it's what we always call consistency to the inconsistency. So you're going to see it tonight. Dallas should turn up. Beautiful day, winning Wednesday. Jay Money, a pleasure as always. Close them out and let's dominate.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna ride with you as well, man. I'm gonna put a little some on those Mavs. Definitely the Knicks spot for sure. I was already on Grizzlies and Pelicans, my guys. So riding with the Shark here, two for me, but it's gonna be 4, man. We're going 4-0 one time for the one time, man. If y'all can cop a shirt one time, let's say $15 for the shirt. I mean, I can't talk you off, my guys. Then you get a pair of glasses sent right to your front door, my guys, man. Let's go. Let's go get this cash, man. Pelicans -3, Grizzlies -4, 4.5, Mavs -5.5, 6, whatever. Somebody Smack City, Knicks -2, man. Let's get this cash, my guys. We will win today, my guys. It's Us Against the Bookies. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate your time as well. Let's get some cash and we out, my guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, retweet as well on Twitter. We back tomorrow. Let's get this cash.